Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen. Sayyidina wa Habibina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. My dear respected brothers, the topic that has been chosen for today is something which many people say, however many people feel this, whether they declare it or not, which is, I feel depressed. There's been a stigma on mental health for a very long time, but slowly the stigma is being removed, and within our Muslim community, people are accepting the fact that mental health issues do exist. Whether you're a man or a woman, you do feel sadness, anxiety, depression, and so on and so forth. Some people are more stronger naturally and they're able to tolerate it a bit more, or they have such support around them where they don't feel it as much, but not everybody is in that situation. Each person is affected in a different way. But the strongest person, the most wise person, is he or she who accepts the reality. And if their mental health has been affected, if they accept it and say, yes, I am feeling anxiety, or I am feeling depression, I am being affected in terms of my mental health, that person is the most wisest. Because if you're going to ignore it, even though you have been affected, and people around you are feeling it, that this person is not the same anymore, he has changed, or she has changed, then you will be the last to accept the reality, which is my mental health has been affected. My dear respected brothers, Almighty Allah mentions in the Quran, in Surah Taha, verse 124, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. One who moves away from my remembrance, one who does not engage in my remembrance. Almighty Allah is saying this. One who doesn't remember me enough or stops remembering me, what will happen? I will give him a depressed life. فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. His life will become depressed. Why? Because he has moved away, or she has moved away from the remembrance of Almighty Allah. The remembrance of Almighty Allah doesn't mean you have to physically open up the Quran and recite. You have to start reading adhkar. This is part of it. However, reflecting upon the favors of Almighty Allah, reflecting upon why Almighty Allah created you, reflecting on your purpose, and recognizing the greatness of Almighty Allah, this is part of remembrance. Whatever you may do, you go out and you're at work, you're engaging in work, you're not necessarily reading salah right now whilst you're working, you're not reading tasbih. However, because you are working and in your mind you are, I have come here for the sake of Allah, I am earning so that I can provide for my family for the sake of Allah, I am earning halal because Almighty Allah told me to earn halal, I am not earning haram right now because Almighty Allah has told me to abstain from haram, therefore you are remembering Allah. Likewise, if you go to school, you attend college, you attend university, whilst you are there, if in your mind you are like, I have come here to seek knowledge, to obtain a qualification, so that I can get a job and provide for my family. I have come to seek this knowledge so that I can better myself. I have come to seek knowledge so I can have a prosperous life. But whilst doing all of this, you have Almighty Allah in your mind. Then whilst you are there, for all of those hours, in reality, you are remembering Allah. But if you remove Almighty Allah and you think, I am going to school, I'm going to university, I'm going to work, I'm going to visit family members, I'm going out with friends, each thing that we are doing, if you are not doing it for the sake of Allah, if in the intention Allah is not there, then all of a sudden we will fall into this category of وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. Whoever moves away from the remembrance of Almighty Allah, Allah will give them a depressed life. Then if we become affected in terms of our mental health, who are we to blame? Likewise, my dear respected brothers, if somebody's mental health has been affected, another thing which Almighty Allah mentions in the Quran, in Surah Ali Imran, verse 139, is وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. That when it comes to losing hope, when it comes to becoming sad and depressed, Almighty Allah states that do not lose hope, do not grieve, do not let your mental health be affected. Why? وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. For verily, if you become a true believer, you submit to Allah properly, you do what Allah has told you to do, you abstain from what Allah has told you to abstain from, all of a sudden you will conquer that. All of a sudden you will become more dominant. But the condition to become dominant is to become a true believer, is to truly submit to Allah. Not to say, I am a Muslim, but then we are hiding our Islam when we go outside. Or I am a Muslim, but then we are not practicing as Muslims. If we do start practicing, if we hold firmly onto our beautiful religion, then we will become dominant. Then all of a sudden the sadness will start to decrease and disappear. The hardship will start to decrease and disappear. This is not to say that even then we will not be tested by Allah, because Allah tests each person in a different way. But then we will know that this hardship that is coming because it is directly a test from Almighty Allah. My mental health has been affected because it is a direct test from Almighty Allah. We need to make sure that it is not happening due to a punishment from Almighty Allah, or it is not happening due to a failure of ours. If we cover all of these aspects, then if we're still being affected, we know that my Creator, the one who has given me everything, the one who put me on this earth, He is testing me. And He deserves to test whoever He wills to test. Because we know that through that test, ultimately we will enter Jannah. My dear respected brothers, another thing Almighty Allah mentions in the Quran in Surah An-Nahl, in verse number 97, is من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. One who starts doing righteous deeds, good deeds from amongst the men and female, the males and females. They start to do good deeds, they start to do righteous deeds, they start to do pious deeds. They're doing this whilst being true believers. Almighty Allah will give them what? فَلَنُحْيِيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبًا. Almighty Allah will give them a good life. Allah will give them a life free from depression. Allah will give them a life free from hardship. But what is the condition? To be a true believer, and additionally to do righteous deeds, to do good deeds. If we don't, then we are failing, and therefore Almighty Allah will then punish us for that. Likewise, if you're doing everything to the best of your ability, you've exhausted all avenues of bettering your mental health, and now you feel like there's nothing else that I can do, then what do? You do what Almighty Allah has told us to do, which is mentioned in Surah At-Talaq, verse number 3. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. That at that stage, Whoever will rely upon Almighty Allah, Allah will be sufficient for that person. Because you've tried everything. You've tried to remove all of that difficulty and those causes of the mental health, the causes of the depression. You've removed those to the best of your ability. You've done everything that you can do. Now you must solely, fully upon Almighty Allah. Solely rely upon Almighty Allah. فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. He will be sufficient for you. My dear respected brothers, one of the biggest causes of mental health nowadays, especially amongst the youngsters, is when they go on TikTok, when they go on Instagram, when they go on Facebook, when they go on Twitter, when they watch YouTube, when they watch TV, when they see people driving nice cars, when they see people living in big houses, when they see people having so many things that they wish they had, all of a sudden they start to become sad. All of a sudden they start to become depressed. Why don't I have that? Why does this person have this? Why don't I have it? All of a sudden, you look at what you are seeing through social media or through the media, and you yourself start to become sad. Why is that? Because you are looking at those that have been given certain gifts from Almighty Allah. Whether they are grateful or not, that's between them and Allah. But you are not looking at those that have been given less, the less privileged. This is why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, and this hadith is mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari, انظروا إلى من أسفل منكم ولا تنظروا إلى من هو فوقكم. Look at those that are less privileged. Don't look at those that are more privileged. Because if you start looking at those that are more privileged, all of a sudden you will become ungrateful to Almighty Allah. But if you look at those that are less privileged, all of a sudden you will become grateful to Almighty Allah. Instead of looking at them, if you look at those that are going through hardship, look at those that are in poverty, look at those that are destitute in the third world countries or around the world. Even in the UK, people are suffering. Even in the UK, we have homeless people. Even in the UK, we have families that are struggling. Instead of looking at these so-called Instagrammers, so-called YouTubers, so-called celebrities, look at those that have been given less. All of a sudden you'll be like, Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me so much. All of a sudden when you look at somebody who has no legs, you'll be like, Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me legs. When you look at those that don't have arms, you'll be like, Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me arms. Likewise, if we keep looking at these things, all of a sudden you will be grateful for everything you have. If somebody's like, I only have one hand, but you look at he who has no hands, you'll be like, at least I have one hand. At least I can use this hand. No matter what the situation may be, no matter what it may be, if we look at those that are less privileged, then all of a sudden we will become more grateful. But if we do what we naturally end up doing, looking at those that have been blessed more by Almighty Allah in certain aspects, then we will become truly ungrateful to Almighty Allah. Because you will see one aspect. You may see their car, you may see their house, you may see their clothes, you may see certain aspects of their lives. But what about all the other aspects? This person may be driving a nice £100,000 sports car, but this person may have millions of problems, but you don't know about it. This person may be a multi-billionaire, but Allah hasn't given him Iman. Allah hasn't blessed her with Iman, but Allah has given you Iman. Can you put a price tag to the Iman that Allah has given you? Can we say Iman, Islam is worth 1 billion, 1 trillion? No, it is priceless. No money in the entire world is enough to buy Iman, because you can't buy Iman. But my dear respected brothers, the majority of us, we were born with Iman. Allah gave us that which is better than all the wealth of the dunya. And those that accepted Islam later in their life, Almighty Allah blessed them with such a gift which is better than the entire dunya and every single thing inside it. All of a sudden now, are we not feeling grateful to Almighty Allah? All of a sudden you're like, I had this problem, that problem. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me so much. This is how, on a daily basis, my dear respected brothers, I want us to think upon this, reflect upon this, contemplate upon this, and then all of a sudden we will have better control upon our mental health. Remember, we are here for a temporary time. Many have come before us with power, with money, with fame, with whatsoever. They have gone. We have come, we will go. Those that will come after us, they will also go. Therefore, do whatever we can, do the best that we can to be true, practicing Muslims, and live your life. Allah will give you the best which is waiting for you. Allah will give you the best properties which are waiting for you in Jannah. Those things that you wanted here but you didn't get, Allah is going to give you that. It's waiting there. But not for a short duration of time, not for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, a few decades, no. Allah will give it to you for eternity. Allah's condition is this: pass the test of this dunya, and then you will be admitted to Jannah, and then you will be in Jannah forever. There will be no deadline. There will be no duration. You will be there forever. My dear respected brothers, if we work on our good deeds and work on abstaining from sins, in society as a whole, around the world, so much sin is taking place. This is why non-Muslims are dominating us. This is why we are being oppressed. If we hold on to piety, all of a sudden we will become dominant. The empires that lost power, the Ottoman Empire, other empires, why did they lose? Because all of a sudden, they had the power and wealth, they started to engage in sin. They started to womanize. They started drinking alcohol. They started engaging in sin. All of a sudden, Almighty Allah made them lose the power. This is why I conclude on the last hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned in Musnadul Imam Ahmad. إذا كثرت ذنوب العبد ولم يكن له ما يكفرها من العمل ابتلاه الله عز وجل بالحزن ليكفرها عنه. When a person's sins increase to such a level that he has so much sin but not enough good deeds to compensate for those sins that he or she has committed, then Almighty Allah makes a calamity befall upon that person. Almighty Allah makes sadness come upon that person, so that that sadness, that trial, that tribulation, that affliction, that hardship, it becomes a compensation for the sins that have been committed. This is why I conclude, lest to the best of our ability, we're humans, we're weak. To the best of our ability, let's abstain from all sin.